Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. Last year at the Annecy Film Festival, we had a plethora of announcements regarding Cartoon Network series that are going to be coming in the future, and one show that got announced there was the new Adventure Time spin-off series titled Adventure Time Side Quest. At the point in time when this was announced, there was no release date or release window given for this show, but it looks like we have an update on when this series is coming, and apparently it's going to be premiering next year in 2026 on Cartoon Network, and I think this is to be expected, honestly. The show was announced last year in 2024 at the Annecy Film Festival. I was expecting to see this series in 2026 at the earliest, 2027 at the absolute latest, so it's good to see that they're going with the earlier window that I was expecting for it, and hopefully we see more of this new show at this year's Annecy Film Festival. Card above if you haven't seen my recent video on what was announced to be showcased there, the panels they're going to have. But nevertheless, this show, if you guys don't know already, was announced alongside the Adventure Time movie and the preschool series Heyo Bimo. Adventure Time Side Quest is probably the more interesting of the three if you asked me, because essentially what this series is setting out to do is to basically give us more of like seasons 1 and 2 Adventure Time. If I take you back to the year 2010 when Adventure Time first premiered, if you guys remember, initially the show for the first few seasons was basically just a weekly adventure series with Finn and Jake. Every single week they'd be going on a different adventure, whether it be to stop Ice King and his plans to try to kidnap a princess, or them trying to go through a dungeon or find the Enchiridion. Every single week showed off a different adventure with Finn and Jake, and really the episodes had no connection between each other. There was no overarching story. There was no plot within this world. It was just a weekly adventure series with Finn and Jake. That's why, if you guys recall, it said Adventure Time with Finn and Jake. That's what this show was. It was just like, hey, this is our 11 minutes to take you on a mystical adventure in the land of Ooo with our friends Finn and Jake, and that was the entirety of this series. Later on, obviously, as the show progressed, we had a villain with the Lich, and at that point, that's when the series started to get more plot heavy, and they started to develop an overarching story within the show. In my opinion, I would argue that's when the show went down in quality. It felt like, to me, watching it, that they really were struggling between balancing progressing the plot forward and actually having these episodic adventures. I remember back in the day, like, for example, this one episode sticks out in my mind. There was an episode where Finn lost his arm, and I believe he had a little flower growing out from it, and he was with this bee throughout the entire episode. And I remember that episode in particular because it was in the midst of a plot development, a plot thread that was being worked on within the series. It might have been with Finn and his dad. I don't recall exactly the details on it. It's been a while, but nevertheless, I remember like the last minute of the episode is actually when the plot progressed forward, and the rest of it was just, not really relevant to the plot. And I remember they did this a lot within Adventure Time when they started to have more plot elements dive into this series. My point is that, in my opinion, I think that early Adventure Time was peak Adventure Time. That is my favorite point of the series, and it seems like Side Quest, from what we know, is going to go back to that formula, and it's essentially giving us more one and off adventures with Finn and Jake like we got in the first few seasons of the show. So this is definitely something that's highly anticipated in my mind, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of this series and what we can expect to see from it. I'm curious as well, I'm assuming obviously this is going to be the 11-minute format, but I'm curious as well how long these seasons are going to be, because I feel like if it's a 10-episode season, that's kind of a bummer, right? That's kind of lame, because it's like, it's a one and off episodic series. It's not like you having this grand overarching story that you want to progress through a few seasons or whatever, right? It should have at least 20 to 30 episodes in my mind, if not even more than that. I believe The Amazing World of Gumball Season 7, off the top of my head, is getting like 52 episodes or something like that. Maybe we'll see something similar for Adventure Time Side Quest, but that remains to be seen. The other thing I wanted to talk about from this announcement and the confirmation or rumor or report that we're getting it in 2026 is, what does this mean for Regular Show Lost Tapes? Regular Show Lost Tapes was announced alongside Adventure Time Side Quest, but the interesting thing with Regular Show Lost Tapes is we didn't actually get the title of the series Lost Tapes until we saw a job posting for the series. Does that mean that Regular Show Lost Tapes is a little bit further behind in development than Adventure Time Side Quest is? I presumed, and I was imagining when these shows were first announced, that they would premiere alongside each other in the same year, just like the original Regular Show and Adventure Time did back in 2010. But now I'm questioning if Adventure Time Side Quest is targeting 2026 as its release window, and maybe Regular Show Lost Tapes is not going to come until the following year in 2027, because it just seems rather odd to me that we have a release window for Adventure Time but nothing for Regular Show. It's also odd to me that we have the series name for Adventure Time in Side Quest, but then we don't have confirmation confirmation from Cartoon Network that Regular Show is indeed titled Regular Show Lost Tapes. It seems like Regular Show might be a step behind Adventure Time, and of course that's all just speculation on my part. It could just be for whatever reason they've just decided to give us a little bit more details on Adventure Time, but in my mind, if we know more about Adventure Time than we do about Regular Show, then that probably means Regular Show is earlier in development. If you guys recall, when these series were first announced last year at the Annecy Film Festival, it wasn't even confirmed for Regular Show as to what kind of series this was going to be. If you guys recall, with SideQuest, they immediately said this was going to be episodic adventures following Finn and Jake in the early seasons of the show. But with Regular Show, there was no confirmation that Mordecai and Rigby were even going to return in it. There's no confirmation if this was going to be a 25 years later situation and we're following a new set of characters in the Regular Show world, or if this is going to be kind of like what they're doing with SideQuest, where we're going to see early Regular Show but just done again in a brand new series with these episodic adventures. The only reason we know that that's most likely the case is because this is called Lost Tapes, and inferring from the name Lost Tapes, it kind of sounds like these are the lost episodes of Regular Show, the Lost Tapes, if you will, and we will be exploring basically early Regular Show once again, these lost episodes that we never got to see in Regular Show Lost Tapes. But that is not confirmed. That is just speculation that we have based on the name of the series. Again, the fact of the matter is we have more details on the Adventure Time show SideQuest than we do on Regular Show Lost Tapes, which makes me think SideQuest is probably further along in development than Lost Tapes is, meaning we're probably going to see Adventure Time SideQuest in 2026 as we know from this new report, and we're probably not going to see Regular Show until 2027 at the absolute earliest, which is a little bit unfortunate, right? I would like to see both of these series next year, but at the end of the day, like I said before, it does seem like Regular Show is a bit farther behind than Adventure Time SideQuest. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. What do you guys think about Adventure Time SideQuest coming in 2026? Are you excited for this series premiering on Cartoon Network? Do you agree with me that it seems like, based on everything we know, that Regular Show Lost Tapes is most likely not coming next year, and it's probably going to come in 2027, as it seems to be a little bit farther behind in development than Adventure Time SideQuest is. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.